What we will do is just see if we can have a look at this issue around the Brumbies debate up in the high country, because I've had a few people come on and talk about that, and we've had both sides of the article present. Well, I've never spoken to anyone up there with, it's actually on the ground, but we've been talking to a number of different people that have had sort of the pro camp and the anti camp. So I'd be interested to speak to someone who's actually up there, and we're going to try and just now put in a call to Sonia Buckley, who is actually up there, and just see if she answers. If she doesn't, that's fine, but we'll give her.
She was out chasing the heifers before.
Hello, Sonia. It's Mitchell Dye calling from 94.7 The Pulse. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
And I'll just merge you with the other person we've got, but well, I just wanted to get a bit of an insight from you as to this whole debate on this program down here, and of course we're quite removed from it in Geelong. I wanted to get an insight into your view about the Brumbies up there in the high country, given that you're someone that's actually there, probably in the thick of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're very much in the anti-camp, are you?
Look, we believe that shooting the Brumbies is absolutely the wrong thing to do, because it just leaves carcasses out in the bush for the wild dogs to breed up on.
Big
and
problem.
Pigs.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's from a mountain person's perspective, it's just not good management to do that.
And I think the other thing was there was some question marks. I don't know if you've thought this as well, but the humanity of it. It's cruel to shoot animals from a drone or a helicopter. Is that a concern? The humane treatment?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, of course. We in the bush, we certainly want to make sure that we use the best management practices, and that's just not it. And it's a very emotive and difficult, management issue. We're quite aware of that, because we've been involved with Brumbies for generations up here, and we want to see the best outcomes.
I'll just bring Liz back into the conversation. Just hold on 1 second. Liz, you're on the line with Sonia Buckley as well, talking about this culling issue, and Vic, I've got you here as well.
Yeah.
Just wonder if you could explain, is the Brumby issue, is it as detrimental to the environment as what's being made out? That's what I've heard a big discussion around. Sonia?
Look, it is detrimental to certain parts of the high country, but what I'd like to point out is that there is definitely an anomaly in the statistics that the government, as far as the numbers go. We don't believe that those statistics are true, and in fact we've had a analysis, a private statistical analysis, look at the parks figures, and they just don't add up.
That's interesting, Sonia, what you say, and I'd concur with that personally, but I'm not an expert, but I would concur with that personally from my evidence and what I've seen.
Yes, that's right, Vic. And look, having said that, what we've been trying to achieve up here with my production company, which is I've been directing some short interviews with locals up here, that some have been Brumby runners, way back in the 60s. And we're also writing a narrative, a short film in dedication to Ken Conley, who he is a renowned Brumby runner. He's caught, over 1,200 more in his career. And
what's the name of that film, Sonia? How do we find that?
Well, at the moment, we've just on YouTube. We've got it under, say, the Brumbies documentary. The film itself is still untitled because it's still hitting the post-production floor. But it was beautifully shot, and we're very proud of it. It was mostly filmed on Helen Packer's property out at Bundarra. Some of it was shot on Ken Conley and Phil Maguire's property with the permission of Ken. And we had our own cast and crew went out there. My son, Tom, he was able to put a crack team of Brumby runners together. He's been Brumby running since he was 15, and we believe that Brumby running does have a place in management, and as does trap yarding. They are more humane than shooting these animals from
Can you explain trap yarding? Just coincidentally, I was on Helen Packer's last week on that property, so I'm very, very sympathetic to your point of view. But just explain trap yarding for the listeners, if you can.
Yeah, well, look, trap yarding is look, it's not an ideal management tool, but it's what we have at this point in time. And I'm sure with everyone that's starting to be heard in the mountains, we are advocating for not only trap yarding but also looking at measures for fertility control, and there are several things we've got on the table. But trap yarding basically is you put salt blocks out in the yard, and it encourages horses to go into the trap yard, and then the door closes behind them, and then they're checked regularly. I was having an interview with Craig Orchard, who's another Brumby runner that has run with Ken Conley for years, and he was telling me that he felt that parks, because he has been involved in that program, and he just felt that parks weren't listening to the local knowledge of about where to put those trap yards, because they were putting them in the wrong locations, and that was creating an issue about the success of those sorts of projects. So there's a real, unfortunately, there is
this disconnect,
and there's a disconnect, and that's exactly right, Vic, because we want in the high country. Now I'm fifth generation mountain cattle woman, and I've come and gone from the farm, and I'm managing Hereford cattle myself. But over the years we've felt not heard, and we really, even cap in hand stuff. To be honest, we'd like the government to really listen and engage with us up here, because that's an imperative to finding the solution.
Yeah, good on you.
To what's happening.
You keep that perspective up. Hopefully someone will listen to you, Sonia, because it's people like yourselves who are on site who can add the human touch that's very much required with these very, very sensitive animals. And as I said last week, they're just such a part of history. That can't be denied. It just cannot be denied. And I think it's good work you're doing. I recall being up in the Gulf some years ago, flying some people around looking at stations, and I was talking to a young Indigenous man there, and we're out at a trap yard, and spear gates, I think they had called them, and he was a bit upset. This young man, he was explaining to me how he was trying to trap the local Brumbies up there in the Gulf, but he said they are so cunning. He said if they get a smell, they'll stand back, and in his words, they'll stand back and they'll perish. They won't come in for water. They'll just perish rather than go into the trap yard, which is heart-rending. But they prefer to try and catch them because of the resource rather than shoot them. But it was upsetting to him.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
It is, and this is the thing. The Brumbies are one of the smartest horses that you get, and that's why they're very sure-footed, and that's why they make great kid ponies. I had a Brumby that I raised from 3 days old, when I was 17, and we had her for 21 years, and she was just a joy. And lots of people want to rehome these animals, and that's the way to go. We feel we need to have programs up and running. I mean, they can't be all of them. There's ones that do have inbreeding, and that's where, maybe part of the management plan is to make sure that the odd stallion gets released into the herd to make sure that they're more suitable. And then the other thing I want to touch on, which is
we're just running
important,
a bit short of time, but so if you make it quick, that'd be great. Yeah,
look, just to finish, it's not only the Brumby that we feel that's at threat up here, it's actually our culture and our heritage, the high country cattlemen and women, just the mountain men and women, the people in the communities. They feel their way of life is being challenged by bureaucratic legislation that comes from places that don't have the actual real knowledge of what it takes to live and survive in the bush and the practicalities of it.
It's a big point. Are you involved in the politics of that? Like, what's your role in the community? Are you involved in politics?
When have I never been involved in politics, Vic?
Like your father.
Family tradition.
And how is Ben just getting away from that? How's Ben keeping?
Oh, look, he's just a joy. I'm so glad that I returned back home to the mountains to be, to enjoy
Good
the
show.
last of his years.
We've got to wind it up. Sonia, say hello.
Sonia, thank you very much for being on the program this morning. I appreciate the insight that we've got from someone that's actually there rather than us.
Yeah, terrific hearing from you, Sonia. And we'll look up that. What was that title again on YouTube? Save the Brumby.
Save the Brumbies Documentary.
Terrific.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.